Good evening and welcome to our show here. I'm sports psychologist Dr. Andrew Jacobs, and we are on WHB TV. And tonight we're going to be doing a live interview with former Royal star Willie Wilson to talk about his new book, Inside the Park, that Willie wrote with Kent Pulliam, the Kansas City Star. So Willie, thanks for being here this evening.
Thanks, Doc. It's good to be here, good to promote the book, and just happy to be out. It's a Tuesday night, the KU game's on, so I hope we don't interfere.
Well, let me get started here, because we could talk about KU basketball all we want, but we've done that before. We've known each other a long time now, since we met back in 1990, and I was a Royals team psychologist back then. You were in your last year with the team, and we've stayed in touch all these years. You've been through your ups and downs. Why did you write this book? Let's talk a little bit about this. Why you decided to do this?
Well, first of all, let me tell everybody how we met. I think that I was utility that year. It was my last year with the Royals, and I was supposed to start, but something happened, and I didn't get a chance to start, so I was going through a lot of turmoil in my mind, and, you came aboard, and there's a funny little story because it involves Frank White and myself. And but to make a long story short, Frank didn't want to see you, and I did, and we've been friends ever since. But the book itself, I wrote it because I wanted to let people see that we are human athletes. We do have ups, we do have downs, and but if you take on what you've done and take responsibility for it, life becomes a little bit better. You can go forward and move forward and have a pretty good life.
Well, I've been working as a sports psychologist since 1981, now 32 years, and we've known each other since 1990, as you said. It's been a privilege to keep in touch with you over the years, and I've known you in your highs, I've known you in your lows, and you've had obviously both of those. And what's interesting after I read the book was, to me, the story it's telling is about success and failure, and about how you've dealt with it, how you handled both. And when you first came up as a rookie and began playing with the Royals back in the 70s, you really didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what was going on, and you had to learn sort of off the cuff on the go. And it was a hard lesson at first.
Well, for all the kids out there and young men who are trying to pursue this profession, and especially a lot of kids who are trusting and trust the coach or manager that they're playing under, my story kind of helps them get through to the other side. I was a trusting young man coming from Montgomery, Alabama, moving to New Jersey. Don't want to tell the whole book, but had a lot of good men in my life growing up, coaches and so forth and so what, managers in the minor leagues. But once I got to the big leagues, I found out about politics, and I didn't really know what that meant for a young 22-year-old, and what it meant was, if you're 22 and the manager likes somebody else, even though you're better than him, that somebody else is going to start.
So you're saying you were a bit naive when you first came to the major leagues?
Very naive, didn't really know pretty much what was going on. I just wanted to play baseball, and I wanted to try to do the best I could do, try to be the best I could be. And, there's some ups and downs in this game and things that you don't like. And I found that out at a very, very early age.
Well, let's start with that. What were some of the highs and lows when you first started off with the Royals at the major leagues? You worked your way up through the minor league system. And one of the things that I picked up in the book, you had your way of getting ready to play. You used anger as a motivator. It helped you get started, helped you get focused. And you didn't like it when people got in the way. You mentioned several times in there about Dean Voglar, the Royals PR person that came in and wanted you to do some things. You're trying to get ready to play. I don't want to deal with this now. I need to get ready to play.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that, once you got here, being from a small town, coming to Kansas City, which was so much bigger than our town, and having to deal with a lot of extra stuff instead of playing the game itself, I didn't know about that. I know the players today are more qualified, and they learn a lot of stuff in the minor leagues so that when they get here, they're polished. But I didn't know that autographs and everything was part of it. I mean, you'd be there ready to play a game, and the front office would send down 20 to 25 articles for you to sign every day. And after a while, it's just like, it gets to be old, and you don't know how to say, can you put it off? So I did it with anger.
Well, one of the things, as you know, I spend a lot of time working with people on is mental preparation. How you not only get ready for the game specifically, get ready for the season, and deal with life, deal with the ups and downs, the pros and cons. We've talked a lot about that over the years.
Yes.
And when we met, that was one of the things we spent a lot of time on, was getting prepared, how you got ready, how you got prepared for games. And anger was a motivator for you, but you have to learn how to temper that. And if you let it take over, then you go down the negative road.
Well, I thought I had, controlled it pretty good, but, there were certain times that it just wasn't controllable. And the reason I was angry was I was a football player. And
you were pretty good. You had an offer to go to Maryland and play wide receiver.
It was okay. But the thing was, being a football player, you had a whole week to psych yourself up for a game. And, that mentality I had, for the football, because baseball was my third best sport, I thought. And football, basketball, and then baseball. So I tried to take the football mentality and bring it here for baseball, and I had to psych myself up every day. And after about 5-6 years, it was really, really hard to go out there every day being mad. I always felt like I couldn't be your friend if you were a pitcher. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't just go out with you and then, I'm trying to hit you, or I know what is going on with your family or something like that. I would feel sorry for you. So I had to get angry in order to perform so that I could really go out there and not get booed by the fans.
But how did that hurt you towards the end of your career? Because I think there was a change and a shift with the way you approached that.
Yeah, toward the end of my career, it was a little bit different. I had more time on my hand to sit down on the bench and watch what was going on, and I had a little bit more time in the big leagues, 15 years at Kansas City, and so I spoke up more, and when I spoke up more, it was more so in an angry tone because I knew what was going to happen to me after the 1990 season. They were going to get rid of me. So it didn't work out as good as I wanted it to be, but my anger, got me to be the player I wanted to be, but not the person I wanted to be.
And I think that's an important point, and you bring that up in the book numerous times.
Yes.
Obviously I've known you, and a lot of the things in there I've known about, but one of the things I picked up in that book was how you changed and you matured, and that's one of the things I see with a lot of athletes, especially as you get older, having worked with so many athletes for so many years, how there's a growth, a personal growth. And I think to survive, you played 19 years, if I'm correct?
Yes.
19 years in the big leagues.
Yeah.
What's the average number of years for a baseball player in the big leagues?
From what I was told years ago, was an average about 2 years.
All right, so you beat those odds.
Beat those odds.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. But you know what? Going back, when I was doing all that stuff and having fun doing it, it was great. But, athletes, we get a lot of stuff given to us. We get a lot of stuff that, if we do something bad, it's taken care of. And for me, it was real hard to all of a sudden be out of that spotlight after you retire. And then that's where you learn yourself.
Well, and excuse me, that's where learning about. I talk all the time. My radio shows every Sunday morning on WHB from 7 to 8, and I talk about this all the time about success and failure.
Right.
And we talk about. I think young people today haven't really learned how to fail. They're not taught how to fail, and so consequently, if they make it through the ranks, they make it into high school sports or college sports, or get lucky enough or talented enough to get to the professional level. A lot of them don't know how to fail.
Right.
And that's personally and professionally.
Well, failure is part of life. And that's what I say a lot at the end of the book. In order for you to get better, you have to fail. In order for you to get better in life, some people are born with they're just good people. But for me, I had to fail to become a really good person. And for me, I think not playing baseball, just going out and being, just little stuff like going to the airport. Now, it might not seem like a lot, but when you went to an airport, you never touched your bags. Well, when I went to an airport after I retired, I had to touch my bags.
Well, right, because you and I both know in the locker room, everything's taken care of. Yeah. Your shoes are shined, your uniform's washed. If you need laundry done, it's taken care of. If you need your car washed, there are clubbies that go out and take care of it. Yeah. No, they didn't do that for me.
No, I know that.
I wasn't big time but I know that one of the things that I noticed working with the Royals, I've worked with the Royals 2 different times for a total of 7 years, is that one of the concerns I always had, and we talked about this, what are you going to do when you're done playing?
Yeah.
How are you going to do with your life? Because, and you fit in the statistic, 85 to 90% of professional athletes within 2 to 3 years of retirement are divorced.
Right.
And you've had that twice.
Yeah.
Once while you were playing, and once when you retired. So
well, she waited a little bit longer before the 2 years.
Right, but nonetheless, you've got to balance out.
Right.
To be able to be a professional athlete, you have to balance out the mental, the physical, the psychological, the spiritual, the emotional. You got to put all those things in perspective.
Yes.
And when you first come up, and that's what I see with a lot of young players today. They come up and they're given all these accolades, all this press. They're going to be so great. And of course, today with social media, there are no secrets.
No.
And think about when you came up, if those same secrets are coming out like they are now.
Well, I mean, what I see the difference is with the players today is the Twitter, Facebook. We used to make fools of ourselves right after the game, when the TV cameras came in. Now they go home and tweet it out. So they make fools of themselves on the Twitter. So it's a little bit different nowadays, but same thing. You have to, be up, you got to be down, and the thing is, it's a fine line to be right there.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this, okay? To balance out being a professional athlete and a batting champion, an all-star World Series hero, as you were, and you will always be, okay, versus just being a normal human being. Because when you leave the ballpark and you go home, you've got kids, you've got a wife, you've got people around, you've got to live your life.
Right.
And so learning how to deal with that, I think when you come up and you get success early, and you learned, you didn't have success right away, but it came quickly.
Right.
And eventually, boom, you're in the playoffs all the time, you're in the World Series, and then you had to deal with striking out 12 times.
Yeah.
And I remember, well, I don't think I've ever, maybe I have told you this years ago, but I remember that 1980 World Series.
So do I.
I know you do. But I was in grad school in San Diego, and I snuck in my radio. We had an all-day lock-in in our school, and I had to listen to Game 7 of the World Series when Dennis Leonard came in and we lost that one year against the Yankees, and I got in big trouble for sneaking my I said, I'm always going to be a Royals fan. But I remember in the 80 World Series watching you, you were trying so hard.
Yeah.
You were trying so hard. I'm like, gosh, if he could just learn how to just relax a little bit, that wouldn't have happened. And so you talk about that in the book, and we've talked about that a lot in your life, and I think you agree with that, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason I did bad was I tried too hard. Yeah, that's true. I mean, most people don't realize that the reason you do bad is because you try too hard. They think you're just bad. And that's not the case, because if it was the case, then I wouldn't have hit 326 during this season and tie or break 7 major league records. So what I learned from striking out 12 times the next time was to relax, treat the World Series games like it was a regular game, and just go out and have some fun. But what I didn't do in 80 and what I did in 85 was, in 80, it's brand new, so I wore new shoes, new uniform, new bats, new gloves, new hat, new everything. And so new takes time to break in, and by the time I broke it in, the World Series was over. Right. So in 85, I just wore the same old shoes, the same uniform, the same old gloves, the same old hat, and it just made me relax more and feel more comfortable. So therefore, I feel like that was a big change for why I did okay in the World Series, but it wasn't a reason we won. We won because we had a really good team.
Well, and see, I think what you're hitting on right here is something I talk a lot with people about. It's what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the result, or are you focusing on the execution and effort?
Right.
And I think in 80, what I'm hearing you say is you were so worried and concerned about the results, you were trying a little bit too hard.
Right.
That you learned from that.
Yeah.
And to your credit, you took that and learned from that and made you better. So by 85, instead of trying too hard, hey, I just got to be me. And you were just playing the way you normally play. And yeah, it is. And here's the whole thing. It is the World Series. It is the playoffs. It's the All-Star game. But when you get out in the field and you're standing there in center field and you're waiting for the ball to come to you, it might be a World Series game. It might be a spring training game. You're playing baseball.
It's just a game. And that's what you try to learn as you get older. And it's very hard to do because, like I said earlier, when you get from high school, you might have, 40 people at a game. And when we were playing in the minor leagues, rookie ball, you might have 40 people in a game. And A ball, you might have 1,000. And, and it goes up 2,000 or 3,000 each time you get to a ballpark. But when you get here and you got 30, 40, 50,000 people, and then you got millions watching you on TV, it's really hard to relax.
Well, because what are you thinking about? You're thinking about all those people, and you're not just thinking about being you.
That's what I'm saying. So as a young man, you let everything kind of
take over.
Yeah, really. And as an older man, you just kind of realize that it's just a game, and you just play the game. And if you can do that, then most of the time you're going to have a pretty good game.
Okay, so here we are now in our late 50s.
Yeah, almost 60.
Yeah, well, I'm closer than you are, my friend.
6 months.
Yeah, okay, we're 6 months apart. All right, I know I look better than you, but that's another story. Yeah, okay. Hey, look at my hair and look at yours.
Hey, bald is good.
Yeah, and what's there is gray, and look at mine. Okay, but here's the point. I think that if you really sit and think about it, your life, to me, and what you've shared in this book, is so much about the highs and the lows.
Highs and lows.
And and so, what did you want people to learn from reading this? Because I know, knowing you, I got a lot out of it, learning more about you. But for anybody else who's just going to pick it up and read it, I think it's a great read and it's a quick read. What are they going to learn about life from this, Willie?
Well, when they first see it, it's 44 chapters, so don't get really excited. The chapters are 2 to 5 minutes long, and you can read them real quick and real easy. But, what I learned is like the last thing I said in the book, and I don't want to destroy this for anybody, but it says, I treat life like the game of baseball. What happens in the first determines how you handle the ninth. And that's what I wanted people to realize in the book, that life is a chain of ups and downs. I don't know anybody that doesn't have ups and downs. So what we try to do is we try to not be too up and not be too down, and deal with the downs as good as we can so that we can survive and keep going, but not let them take over to the point to where you can't even remember the ups because the downs are so down.
When you've been in those downs, let's just talk about that for a few moments. And you've had several situations where that's happened. Some were things you brought on yourself, some were results of situations. How did you get out of it? Because I think that's the biggest. It's not as much how you got there, but how you got out of it that I picked up from this book.
Well, there's just about every time I got in trouble, it was, you feel bad, no matter whether it was my fault or anybody else's fault. But the first thing you do is when you get in trouble is you know that it's your fault. I put myself there. I put myself in that situation. So once you can deal with accepting that, then you can say, how can I get my way out of this because I put myself in this? Because you spend a lot of time, if you don't say it's your fault, blaming everybody else, and then therefore it takes you longer and longer to get out. So once you do that, you say it's my fault, and then you go forward, and then things get better. And so all I'm trying to say is it's a great life. You can make it hard, or you can make it really easy by the way you think. And the biggest thing is attitude.
Well, what you just said right there, I think, is a really pertinent point. You took responsibility.
Right.
And too many times over the years with so many of the athletes I've worked with, it's his fault, it's the manager's fault, it's the coach's fault, it's my teammate's fault, it's my opponent's fault, it's the weather's fault.
Yeah.
That's not what you're saying.
No, I mean, you have to take responsibility. I mean, you know, there's some things in the book that a lot of people didn't know about. There's some things that people did know about. 84, the drug conviction. I could have blamed those people, but I was the one that took the drug. I was the one that got in trouble. So I can't blame somebody else for something I did. It's just situations that you deal with, situations that you try to come to Jesus, come to truth with. And then once you do that, I always feel like you got to be truthful with yourself. And if you can do that, then you can move forward.
Well, and knowing you over the years, as we've talked about so many things, that's one thing that I've admired in you is you've taken responsibility. I mean, when you messed up,
yeah.
I mean, I recall back in, you know, talking about Frank and you back in 1990, I remember one day you wanted to talk to me, and one of the guys on the team gave you some grief about it, and your response was, what's your average and what's mine? I'm dealing with my problems. You need to deal with yours.
Yeah. That's how a lot of guys looked at Andy's job, you know, psychiatrist, you know. So to a lot of people, that means you're crazy or you're weak. And for me, I'd rather go get some help instead of standing there by myself saying I'm not crazy or I'm not weak, and therefore you get nothing done. So that was what I said to them. Even though I wasn't starting every day, I was hitting over 300. And so the other person that wasn't starting every day, he was hitting about 240, 250. And he said to me, why are you going in there to talk to Andy? And I go, well, my average is so-and-so, and your average is this and that. So he must be making a difference. So that's...
Well, you didn't mention how much money I paid you to say that, though.
Well, you know, that $20 didn't go far.
Well, back then, for me. Okay, but I think this is the thing. This, you know, and that's one of the things I love about you. You can laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and I think even in the down times,
you got to laugh.
You have always laughed. You've always been able to express. That's one thing about you that's been, I think, a healthy thing for you. That's probably allowed you to get through a lot of this stuff. You can look at yourself, and even in the down times, as down as you were, you can still laugh at this stuff.
You got to laugh, man, because, you know, if you don't laugh, you'll go crazy. And the thing is that I think about is, you know, laughter is such a beautiful thing. And in 1976 all the way till 1980, before I got kind of a big name around here, I was laughing. I was having a great time. And then all of a sudden, my time wasn't my time anymore. It was everybody else's time instead of mine. And even my time with my kids and my family was not my time, because I'm 22 years old. I can't even take care of myself. And now I got a responsibility of taking care of everybody else's kids. So my kids, for the longest time, got left out because we were going around taking care of other people's kids. And I understand that now, but as a 22 and 23-year-old, you're pretty pissed off. And that was a lot of why I didn't understand the political and the things that you do when you get to the big leagues.
Well, let's talk about, you know, a lot of people are going to listen to this, have kids that are playing sports. And they might be in Little League, they might be in high school, they might even be in college.
Right.
What do you think a parent's role, and this is something I know back when my oldest son was learning how to play, you came and gave his team hitting lessons. I don't know if you remember that years ago. And you said to me, I don't get it, your son can hit. You gave me a bunch of grief about that. I said because psychologically he was together. But what, you know, at least I can make you laugh. All right. But let me ask this question. What would you say what should a parent's role be with kids in sports today? Because one of my concerns is how overbearing so many parents get. And so what would you suggest, if a parent has a dream that their kids can be successful, whatever level it might be, what would you suggest to them to do?
Well, it's always good to have a parent back in their girl or a man or a young child to play any sport. Some parents, it's their dream for their child to be a professional athlete. And I always say to the kids, you know, do you want to be a professional athlete? Because if you want to be a professional athlete, then it's a whole lot different than your parents. Now, there's overbearing parents, and then there's parents that my mom didn't even know I was playing sports for about 3 years because she never asked me. She never got involved. Sports took me over, not me taking sports over. I just fell in love with it. So it's like a guy that plays an instrument. That instrument, that music's going to take him over. So the parent has to realize or just talk to their kids and say, what do you want to do? And I used to say to my kids, if you like this sport, I'll come see you play. But if you love this sport, I'll drive you all over Missouri so you can play because you love it. And if you love it, then that's something that a parent needs to know. But don't put a kid in a sport that the parent likes and then the kid doesn't like it, and before long the kid is going to leave that sport because he really doesn't like it, and then you're going to have the parent really upset because they want this young man or young lady to do what they want them to do, and it has to be up to the child.
Where does confidence fit into this, Willie? Because you talk about this a lot in your book. I mean, you obviously had a tremendous amount of confidence to play professional baseball. But what role does that play? Because I always like to ask this question. Do you have to be confident to be successful, or do you have to be successful to be confident?
Wow, Doc. Now you're trying to get psychological on me. I think you have to be confident to play the sport, but I think that the more you do, let's say, better in the sport, the more your confidence becomes more and more confident. Of course, you're confident to go out there, but sometimes you go out there and then you don't know what to expect. And then when you get confidence is when you do, I would say more confidence, when you get a key hit in the 7th or 8th or 9th, or you make a great pitch as a pitcher, or you make a diving catch as a player, then your confidence shoots up. And I like someone being confident. I don't like them being cocky. And I give you an example. George was confident. Jose Canseco was cocky. Can you see the difference?
Well, I know George from our days with the team, and yeah, George is an extremely
very
George
confident.
Was not a cocky guy.
No.
He was a very confident guy.
And Jose Canseco, and I say this because I got to play with both of them. Jose, Ricky, very cocky, very, very, very cocky people, and it's almost like you don't want to be around them because they're too cocky. But you don't mind being around a confident person because that kind of person makes you feel good inside, and you want to be around someone that makes you feel good too, not someone that wants you to make them feel good.
Well, maybe a great example of that, Ricky Henderson, was when he made a catch in the playoffs, and he had that way of catching a ball and throwing his glove down, and then the ball went out of his glove, and the 2 or 3 runs scored, and gave up in a game against, I believe, Toronto, didn't he?
Well, we were playing in the playoffs, my last chance to get into the World Series in 1992, and we were a really good team. That year, they happened to get rid of Jose Canseco.
And this is with the A's.
With the A's. They got Ruben Sierra, and we had Dave Henderson, Ricky Henderson. Dave Henderson got hurt at the beginning of spring training, and I had to play the full year. And Ricky was in left, and Dave Stewart, Mark McGuire, Carney Lansford, Eckersley, Honeycutt. It was a great team. And so we're out in left. I'm out in center field, and Ricky's in left. And we've won the first game, and it's the second game, and there's a fly ball. There's 2 outs, man on second and third. fly ball hit the left. Ricky goes over and he takes the ball and he goes like this. And he threw it all the way down the left field line. And I'm standing there and I'm watching him. I look to the right and I see so I got to chase the ball because I'm backing him up. And the whole time I'm running down there chasing the ball, I'm yelling, why can't you just catch the ball? Why do you got to do all of that stuff? But that's what Ricky was. And Ricky was the kind of person where he didn't come in the dugout and say, hey, my bad. He just sat down. So for me, you know, that's a person that, you know, he's so cocky that he doesn't have to apologize to the team. So he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be this and that. But to me, I just don't want to be around people like that.
Well, you know, as we wrap things up tonight, one of the things I'd like to talk about is the message that you share in here with everybody.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to a break right now, and then we'll come back. We'll go to a break right now. We'll come back and finish this up.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Okay, Willie, we're going to wrap things up this evening with what we've been talking about. Before we get going on, talk a little bit about your book and where people can get it. I want to make a couple of announcements. First of all, KC Hops is celebrating its 20th anniversary. So I want to encourage you to go to your favorite KC Hops restaurant for details. We're at one right now. You can get your holiday gift cards here at Harrah's, North Kansas City 810 zone. And it's going to be open regular hours during the holiday season. And on December 28th, which happens to be my birthday at 9 p.m., there's UFC 168 going on. So I want to let everybody know that. But as we wrap things up, you know, with your book, as we've said several times, there's a big story and a big message in here about balance, about ups and downs. And the main reason you wrote this book was what?
To let people know that no matter what, no matter how down you are, you can come back with a good attitude and some help from your friends, but mainly with a good attitude. And that my life was just a bunch of ups and downs, and I'm here talking to everybody today.
Now, people want to get a hold of the book. Where can they find it? How can they get it?
Well, they can go to, Barnes & Noble. They can go to Amazon.com, and they can go to WillieWilsonBaseball.org. That's me. And just look at those websites, or they can go to Ascend Books and go and get them there. But there's 4 places you can go right now. Hopefully we can get them in a few more stores.
Okay. Well, once again, I'm sports psychologist Dr. Andrew Jacobs. You can hear me every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And start as of this Sunday, you'll begin watching my show on 810WHBTV.com.
Yeah, it's good, Doc. And
so I expect you to be listening.
yeah, I'll be listening. What time?
7 to 8 every Sunday morning.
All right. Well, I'm usually up at 6, so yeah. But if on Sunday, if it's in the summer, forget about it.
Yeah, I know you'll be on the golf course, and I'll be following you out there. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And Willie, thank you. This is a great book. I really encourage everyone to get a hold of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And if anybody wants a copy of the book, an autographed copy, we're going to be selling the books back here. And thanks, everybody, for listening, and hope they have a good Christmas.
No, really, if people want to order a book from WillieWilsonBaseball.org, can they get an autographed copy as well?
Yes, they can get an autographed copy there. And they can get an autographed copy, and it's the same thing. I just charge. They say it's $24.99. I charge $25. I make a penny. So it's a really good deal. And a lot of people are asking me, why don't I charge for the autograph? And I just don't feel that that's necessary. I just feel that, $25 is good enough. And people work too hard, and autographs are usually stuff I don't mind doing right now. Good deal.